It's stupid.
It's pointless.
It's irrelevant.
It's Things That Matter with Mike and Nev. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Things That Matter with Mike and Nev. I'm Nevin Barrage. He's Michael Feldman. Check us out on YouTube.com. Search for Things That Matter with Mike and Nev. Find our YouTube channel. So, Mike, you and I are big Laker fans. Obviously, this Lakers season was a big disappointment, finishing 27-55, one of the worst seasons in Lakers history. And one of the things that came up during the season was the idea of whether the Lakers, or an NBA team in general, should purposely tank during the season with the idea of getting a better draft pick. What are your thoughts in general about tanking on purpose to do that?
You know, it's funny. Okay. I'm actually, I think, okay with it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm okay. I've thought about this. I'm okay. It's interesting. I'm okay with it.
You're on Team Tank.
I think I'm on Team Tank. It's weird because in general with something like this, I'm completely against it. I'm like, you gotta work hard. You gotta, you gotta just finish strong. Don't like, and I think that's especially true in something like high school or college, right? Where it's, where I mean, it's, especially high school.
There's no draft in high school.
Well, sure, okay, fine, but
it's not about next season. It's only about the here and now in college.
That's totally fair, and it's also I mean in high school especially, it's a whole thing about like learning life lessons too, like all that stuff,
Well, quick aside.
Yeah.
When you coach cross country this fall,
Yeah.
Is that your focus, teaching life lessons, not just about winning and losing?
Oh no, it's absolutely going to be my focus because I need to give
winning and losing life lessons.
Well, I don't know. I have to think about this, but this is a future podcast. This is definitely
going to be your focus.
No.
I don't know what the
I haven't thought. It's a long time from now. I have to put it together. No. But I really do want to impart big lessons onto the kids. It's going to be great. It's going to be so funny. But back to the team thing. But at a professional level, I think, and especially when you're right, you're thinking about the next season. You're thinking about the future and everything. It seems like, to me, you have to think strategically and you have to think about just the big picture, and therefore, I'm fine with like just throwing away a season, so to speak, if it means that you're going to be great in the future.
I know what you're saying, and there's on paper now.
Yeah.
There's a party that actually agrees with you. I hate to say it,
Yeah.
because I hate the idea of tanking and losing, especially being a Laker fan, which is such a storied franchise.
Right.
I think this is probably the third or fourth time in 30-some-odd seasons we've missed the playoffs.
Wow, yeah.
So in that regard, it's hard for me to say, hey, Mike, I do agree with you on certain levels. Here is the problem, and especially when it comes to the NBA. Number one, there is no guarantee that the number one pick is going to be a great player.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really true for any sport.
Sure.
But that draft is hit and miss from the get-go. Number two, the way the NBA works, the worst team in the league is not guaranteed the number one pick. They're guaranteed the best chance of getting the number one pick. So the Lakers, theoretically, even though they didn't have the worst record, they actually have a chance to get the top pick, just not a chance as, say, Milwaukee or Philadelphia or a team with a worse record. They're going to get a top 9 pick for sure, but that's just the way the NBA works. The problem I have in the end is the idea of doing it on purpose. That's what really bothers
Right.
me. Where that's coming from, that's not from the players. That's not from the guys actually playing the game, busting their butts on the court. That's about team management, ownership, thinking, okay, well, I purposely want to lose this season. I purposely want my team to suck so I can better it later on. And that's hurting the fans.
Yeah.
That's what
Yes.
Now, in the case of the Lakers, I don't think they lost on purpose. I really don't. I just think in the end they sucked. And
Yeah.
There was injuries. There was a whole mess of reasons we can go into. There's a lot of people have a lot of issues with the coach Mike D'Antoni. I'm one of them. I'm not going to lie. But to say it's all his fault, I don't think is true. We did have a lot of injuries. We had a lot of guys on one-year contracts. In the end, they were playing for bigger contracts. That's not always team ball. So there were a lot of factors in there. But in the end, I don't think we were losing on purpose. But we did lose. So in that sense, I almost thought it was like the best case scenario where we're going to get a high draft pick, but we didn't tank the season.
Yeah. Well, so let me just ask though, if you're a fan, right, and you're at a game and it's it's the season's over, kind of thing already and whatever. I mean, I personally, okay, I would be mad if they just played really like lackluster. You know, if they just like, you know, we're just like lazing around the court and like just, you know, all this stuff. But I don't think I'd be mad if, say, they just, you know, they didn't play like the top players, you know, or something, or I wouldn't be mad if they didn't. If they didn't, you know, if they made moves that were clearly not designed to like try to, you know, win the game, you know, like some kind of, yeah. Go ahead.
2 points here. Number one, in the Lakers' case, in their favor was the fact their top players were hurt.
No, I know, but right, yes,
Nash all season, Gasol, so they didn't have that issue. But you actually bring up an interesting point when it comes to the fans who are at the games. Let's bear in mind these fans are spending money.
Yes.
And in the case of a franchise like the Lakers, you're spending big money.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have your season ticket holders spend thousands of dollars to go see a team that is losing on purpose or is just focusing on a high draft pick for next season, that's not going to sit well with your fan base. In fact, on Twitter, there are people who actually have been sending me tweets to me the last few days saying, you know, I'm a Laker fan, I'm a season ticket holder, and I think that they have till May 16th to decide whether to renew, and they're not sure because the team struggled this season. They don't know what the team is going to do next season, and that is actually a big factor, Mike. Because now we're talking about the business side. Now you're talking about the possibility of potentially losing money. Because in the end, it comes back to pleasing your fan base. And with the Lakers, your fan base is used to winning.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've come to the conclusion, Nev, that it's all about money.
It's all about money, exactly. So I've convinced you it is all about money. Listen, at the end, winning equals money. That's just what it comes down to. So in the end, don't tank on purpose. Be like the Lakers. Just suck. Just suck. There you go. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Things That Matter with Mike and Nev. For Michael Feldman, I'm Nevin Barrett. It's Things That Matter.